Alright, folks, welcome to another edition of Lid Tips, the amateur radio show where we talk about and discuss topics that are of interest to ham radio or amateur radio operators. In this particular episode, we discuss my buddy Stan and his decision to buy a new HF or his first HF radio. If that sounds like something you're into, why don't you do yourself a favor, go grab a nice cold one, come on back, and we'll get started. Oh, by the way, if you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, question, or suggestion below, and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks, everybody. Many of you may remember Stan. We discussed him before in a previous Lid Tips episode. I want to give you a little bit of background about Stan so you can understand who he is and what his perspective is. Stan's a new ham. He's been a ham for about 6 to 12 months, somewhere right along that time frame. And he owns a Baofeng handheld ham radio and a fake Nagoya antenna. And as I mentioned last time, that has nothing to do with the story, but I just like to mention it. Stan is frugal and he likes to save a buck. As usual, being up to his old tricks, Stan is ready to step up his game. And Stan tends to be a little bit of an emotional person. He doesn't take news that he doesn't like or agree with very well. So, as I mentioned, Stan wants to buy an HF rig. And he says he wants brand new, not used. And he said he learned the lesson about buying used equipment when he got his Ford 150. I don't have a Ford 150, so I can't speak to that. I love Ford and Chevy alike, so take it easy in the comments. He wants all band and all mode. He says he wants a DC to daylight, shack in a box, all in one. He wants a radio that does it all. He says he's going to use it portable and for base use. Portable, he means he wants to carry it to the tops of mountains, and he wants it to be on his desk at home. Maybe even at the same time. I don't really know. Stan is interested in an internal battery, so he doesn't have to mess with a power supply. He wants a band scope, or a waterfall, as they're sometimes called. He wants at least 100 watts. He needs a built-in tuner. He doesn't want to have to fool with peripheral devices and cables and wires and all that kind of stuff. Stan says he wants a built-in sound card for the same reason he wants a built-in tuner. He wants everything in the box, plug a USB cable in, and be done with it. He doesn't want to fool with rig blasters and all that kind of stuff. He wants it to be easy to use. He wants his radio to be very simple, where he doesn't have to learn a lot or memorize a bunch of funky menus, commands, or anything like that. And his budget is $500. He wants to get all of this capability for around $500 up and running. So I say to Stan, I'm like, bro, that ain't gonna happen. You ain't getting that for $500. And I asked him, I said, what about cables, coax, power, antennas? If you're not gonna find one antenna that goes from 70 centimeters all the way up to 160 meters, it's just not gonna happen. So you're gonna have to spend some money there. And I told him likely you're gonna have some problems with RFI or CMC, and you're gonna want to spend some money on some suppression there. We talked about a power supply. Even if you have an internal battery, you as a home base station running 100 watts, you probably are going to want to have some sort of external power supply. And I said, Stan, you're going to have to buy stuff. You're going to need stuff in order to make this radio work. And I asked him, I said, you really need to reconsider the $500 budget. I'm not saying it's not doable, but given the list of requirements, it's a pretty tall order, and you're not going to get everything you're asking for today for $500. So I sit down with Stan and we do the maths, and we talk about all his requirements, and we put them into a spreadsheet. And then I listed the radios that are typically mentioned when people talk about buying their first HF rig, especially if they're looking at something new. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, and you may have radios that you want to add to the list. So I'm going to ask you later on in the video what your recommendation would be, and to put it in the comments below. And if there's other radios that should be considered, go ahead and put them in the comments below along with why they should be considered. But we took a look at radios from Yaesu. I included one from Malenko, Zygu, and ICOM. I didn't put any from Kenwood in here because you're not getting a Kenwood for anywhere near $500. But we'll start off and go through these quickly. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time belaboring points. A checkbox is where a radio met the requirement. And so the first column, I have the FT818, or you could say the 817. You can get them brand new. They are all band, all mode. They do have an internal battery. You can use them for portable and base use, but That's really where the goodness ends. There is no band scope. They won't do 100 watts. There's no built-in tuner, no built-in sound card. They're definitely not easy to use. They have a very small screen, and they are heavily menu driven, which requires a lot of memorization and tooling around on that little screen. And they're not $500. So for me, I don't really know if this is something that I would be comfortable recommending. The next one is the Yaesu FT857. And there's pros and cons to all these radios that I'm not going to go through. I'm just talking about how they meet these requirements. Some people really hate the 857, and they say that there's problems with the screen on it. You can buy them new. I don't believe they make them anymore. If I'm wrong about that, go ahead and crucify me in the comments. But I think you can still get these old stock. They are all band, all mode. They do have an internal battery. People do use them for portable and base use. Again, no band scope, but they do 100 watts. No built-in tuner, no built-in sound card, and they're not easy to use. They kind of suffer the same fate as the 817 and 818, where the menu driven, and that makes it difficult. And they're not $500. The next one I have on the list is the 891, which you can get brand new, and these are very popular radios for portable and base use. But they're not all band and they're not all mode. They go up to 6 meters, if I remember correctly. There is no internal battery. There's no band scope. They do 100 watts, no tuner, no sound card. But I'm going to put them in as, not so easy to use because they're heavily menu driven. But with use and experience, you can get used to them. But there is a learning curve there. And you can get these for about $600, $650 if I remember correctly. So it's a pretty good contender, pretty good recommendation for something that meets most of these requirements and would meet the use set as defined by Stan. Let's talk a little bit about the FT450D, and this is a very popular beginner radio that you can get brand new. They stop at 6 meters again, if I remember correctly. No internal battery. People use them for portable and base use. They're a little big. They're not overly heavy, but you could use it portable if you wanted to. No band scope on it. It does do 100 watts. I have no tuner, but I think that's wrong. I should have checked that box. No sound card, and I put easy to use. These are relatively easier to use radios, and that's why they're so popular with beginners. And they're a little over $500, so Stan would have to stretch his budget a little bit, but that's a good recommendation in my book. And just between the two of us, or maybe all of us viewers, I don't think Stan's going to take this thing portable. I just don't see that happening. The next radio is the Yaesu FT991A. And I know that there's a little bit of controversy surrounding this radio. People either love them or they hate them. I really considered picking this up when I bought my ICOM 7300. And sometimes I still sit around thinking, what would have happened if I bought the 991A? You can get them brand new. They are all band, all mode. And they come with a digital capability for Yaesu System Fusion. No internal battery. People do use them for portable and base use. I see it more of a base station. And maybe you want to take it portable every now and then, but I'm not going to go hiking anywhere with this thing. It does have a band scope, and the band scope does have a couple millisecond delay between refreshing, so it's not 100% real time. So there's a little bit of drama around the band scope not being as good as it can be, but it's plenty adequate, and it's a fine radio. It does 100 watts, has a built-in tuner, has a built-in sound card. And while it's pretty heavy on the menus, I did check it as easy to use. It seems like it's a pretty simple radio to figure out, so you do have to spend some time with it, maybe watch some videos, read an instruction manual, but I think that you would find it easy to use overall. But it definitely blows the budget. I think these things are about $1,200, $1,250, something like that. But to me, if Stan would save up his money, this is a very strong recommendation. The next one I have on the list is the Alinco DX SR8T. I believe there's an SR9 as well. You can get these new. They don't go past 6 meters. No internal battery. People do use them for portable and base. It's a little bit of a smaller radio. It would probably work quite well there. It does not have a band scope. I believe it's 100 watts. No tuner, no sound card. Relatively easy to use, and it is in the $500 budget. I believe these are about $475. Next on the list, we got the Xiegu G90, and you can get these things brand new. They're not all band, all mode. They stop at 10 meters, and they don't have FM. No internal battery in that. You can use them for portable and for bass use. For bass use, the screen size is pretty small, and I just want to be honest about that. Unless you got a magnifying glass or a good set of eyes, it might not be something that you'd be interested in doing. It does have a band scope, and it's an adequate band scope, but it's small. But it works for its purpose. It has a 20 watt max output, so it doesn't hit our power requirement. It does have a built-in tuner, and I believe it's a 10-to-1 tuner. And I have this radio, and it has tuned everything that I have attempted to tune with it in seconds. It works really well. No built-in sound card, and hooking this thing up for digital modes is a challenge. It's easy to use. I haven't had any problems with it. I didn't read any manuals. I did read a cheat sheet because it has got some goofy titled buttons and stuff like that on there, but you could get up on the air with this thing pretty quick. And it's within budget. You can get them for about $450. The next radio I added, the Zygu GM1. You can get them brand new. They're not all band, all mode. I believe they only transmit on 4 bands. No internal battery. You could use it portable for a base station. I'm not sure why you would use one at all. I'm sure somebody out there loves them. No band scope, no 100 watts, no built-in tuner, no sound card. I'm even going to say it's not easy to use, but they're $250. And then we have the Zygu X5105, and this is a fan favorite. We're going to talk about it. You can get them brand new, not used. They are not all band, all mode. They do have a pretty good internal battery. I believe it's just under 400 milliamps. I'm sorry, 4,000 milliamps. And people say they last a long time on those. I believe it's just a 5-watt radio. You could use them for portable and bass use. Some people buy amplifiers for bass use. No band scope, no 100 watts, 5 watts as I talked about. It does have a built-in tuner. I believe it's a 3-to-1, but I could be mistaken about that. No built-in sound card, so with digital mode you're going to have the same challenge as you have with the G90. I did put down easy to use. Folks who use them say that they are menu driven, but it's easy to figure out. And I did check the budget box. When I looked, these things were going for around $600. You can probably pick them up closer to $500 when they go on sale. Either MFJ, Radio Oddity, or I believe it's Bridgecom Systems sells these as well. The next radio I have on the list is a pretty popular radio for beginners. It's the ICOM IC718. It's my understanding you can still buy these things brand new. They're not all band, all mode, no internal battery. They actually are quite popular for portable and bass use. Again, carrying it around up a mountain in your backpack might not be the best thing, but packing it up in the car, taking it on the park, taking it camping, things like that, easily doable. No band scope. It does do 100 watts, no built-in tuner, no sound card. Relatively easy to use and get on the air. And I did not check the budget box. I think these are around $800, $850, something like that. The next one we have on the list is the ICOM IC7100. Again, you can still get these things brand new, all band, all mode. It does not have an internal battery. And they're quite popular for portable, bass use, and even mobile applications as the head is detached from the radio. No band scope, but it does do 100 watts. No tuner, no sound card. Relatively easy to use, and it also supports D-Star, which is a digital mode. Again, these are around $800, so I did not check the budget box. And you don't really see these things coming down significantly discounted for sales. And then last in the list is the ICOM IC7300, a very, very popular radio. Not always somebody's first choice for an HF radio because of the price, but they're brand new. You can get them not used. It's not all band, all mode, so it stops at 6 meters, no internal battery. It's small. It's lightweight compared to some other HF rigs. You could use it for portable and bass. K8MRD Mike, he takes these things for his POTA activations all the time. Mine just sits on my desk. I'm not taking it anywhere. In terms of band scope, it is like the premier band scope that is on the market in this price range. It is a very nice dynamic touchscreen. It's quite impressive. It does 100 watts, has a 3-to-1 built-in tuner. I do run mine with a secondary tuner. because I run end-fed half waves or end-fed random wires and stuff like that, and the 3-to-1 sometimes can't handle those wires. It does have a built-in sound card. This thing was easy to set up in digital modes. The radio is relatively easy to use. There are a lot of features on it which could take you some time to learn, but you can get up and running on this thing quickly. But they're about $1,000, so it doesn't meet the $500 budget. So after running through that list, what would you recommend? Post it below. What did I miss? What was your first HF rig? And why did you buy that one? So what did I recommend? I told him, I said, Stan, why don't you wait and save up and get a radio that you want and not compromise so much at $500. You're really putting a limitation on yourself there, and maybe perhaps even explore the used market. I know we had some drama with the Ford 150, but this could be a different story. And I said, if you can't wait, get the G90. You can sell it in a period of time if it's not something that you like or you're into. They're relatively easy to use, and you can get them for under $500. I told him, I said, Stan, you really need to decide what you want and what you can afford, and determine what requirements are real, because there's a lot of stuff on your list that you're just not going to be able to get, and you might not really need. So maybe we need to go back and take a look at those requirements and start ranking them into high, medium, and low, something along those lines. Anyhow, that's going to wrap up this episode of Lid Tips. I want to thank everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you liked it.